I would never be able to wear something like this because I just don't have the body for it. Hey, stop it. That is not a growth mindset. You can do it. Analyze where you're at and then figure out what changes you need to do. Yeah! Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about mindset, and we have kind of looked at mindsets a little bit in the past. There's been a couple of videos where I've looked at different kind of mindsets, and I thought it'd be nice just to dedicate a whole video towards at least one aspect of focusing on growth mindset versus fixed mindset. I was about to say static mindset, but that's not the word to use. First, let's start off with a working definition for today, what we're going to be using as a growth mindset. I would say it's twofold. First, it's the willingness to look at yourself, your current perspective. And then number two, it is also the willingness to change that perspective of yourself or others, or change your behavior towards yourself or towards others. So it's looking at yourself, but then also changing something. And I'm sure you've seen all these different visuals. They're all over the internet. Anytime somebody talks about growth versus fixed mindset, you're going to see something like this. I know I've put something up like this as well, but it's showing the dichotomy of willing to change, not willing to change. And these are the behaviors that you're going to see somebody doing based on which category they fall into. As I was thinking through, and actually something that has come up when we've been discussing things is that I know for myself, and I know 100% this is going to apply to everyone, that when we are looking at the facets of our life and a fixed or growth mindset, we're going to be all over the place. So a lot of times in education, we tend to think of the average student. So the average student would be someone who that is average in all these characteristics. It could be in academics. It can even be within the average English student, the average math student. But what we tend to forget is that the students and people are students. Students are people, both ways. We tend to forget that people are more complex than just average. And so when we look at a real student may be really good at one thing and really bad at another thing and kind of in the middle at something else. And so we're not all across average. This average student does not exist. The average human does not exist. And so the same thing when it comes to fixed versus growth mindset. When we're looking at ourselves, there might be somebody who has more categories in their life that are more fixed, but most likely there's going to be an area in their life, or two or three or whatever, where they have a growth mindset. It's not going to be everywhere, so it's not going to be, oh, this is the average fixed mindset person. This is the average growth mindset person. Those people don't exist. What we really have is this is a person who happens to be growth mindset here, but fixed mindset there. I would encourage you to look at your life and think about where are you more willing to, first of all, look at and see what your perspective is, but then also to change your perspective in order to grow. And those would be the areas of growth where you have a growth mindset. And then the areas where you're less doing that is, of course, the fixed mindset. For someone to have a growth mindset, I've already said what our working definition is. And so when something kind of goes on a tangent on that particular definition, then you're having what I will call a pseudo growth mindset, or I called it fake because that sounds scandalous. So the first one I'm calling projecting a growth mindset outwardly. And it's not necessarily that it is fake or pseudo, but what ends up happening is maybe, possibly, someone does have an area in their life that is in the growth mindset category. And because it's being displayed outwardly, then other people will comment on it and think and say, oh wow, you have such a great growth mindset there. Love that growth mindset. And so what might happen, and this has happened to some people, is that they think that when someone says they have a growth mindset, that they are the average growth mindset person. They have a growth mindset everywhere. Yes, I do have a growth mindset. I am going to carry that growth mindset banner all the way to the finish line. To reiterate, yes, that person does have a growth mindset in the area in their life where people can see, but maybe not in all the areas. And so what ends up happening possibly, and if this person is unaware, then they might overlook the areas in their life where they don't have a growth mindset. And so they might go months, years, decades of thinking they have a growth mindset and not really having a growth mindset in all areas. And we're not going to naturally have a growth mindset in all areas. But the point is to be able to analyze yourself and decide and, well, basically kind of weed out, okay, I have a growth mindset here, but here I don't. Okay, what can I do? If I want a growth mindset, what can I do here in this area in order to change that? In order to, well, and I guess it would be kind of to have a growth mindset towards fixing your fixed mindset. And so ultimately, it's a matter of just really being honest and open with yourself and not just globbing on to those positive things that people are saying. And yes, you have a growth mindset somewhere, but you don't have a growth mindset everywhere. And so figuring out where those areas are. And the next category I am calling having a growth mindset, but for the wrong reasons. So the definition, I had two parts. It makes logical sense that you would have to know where you're at first in order to make that change. But for this particular category, this might be somebody who is...
I think I've killed it.
So this might be somebody who is changing things because... well, we'll get into that in just a moment. It appears that they're growing because they're changing things. They're trying new things and oh, that sounds great. Let me try that too. Oh, that sounds great. Let me try that. Let me try that. And so it appears that they have a growth mindset because it's the willingness to change and try the new thing is there. But what is lacking is that they don't know where they're at. So the willingness to be honest and open with themselves is not there. You got to have both parts in order to have a growth mindset because you have the growth, but you don't have the mindset part. I have a growth mindset. This is what I'm telling myself. I have a growth mindset to cleaning the house and finding the best way to organize things. And so I'll buy this box and I'll put things in and oh, this works really well, but then it stops working or maybe it doesn't work all the way. And so of course I'm searching and I see, oh, look at this is a way I can declutter and fix all my problems in my house. Okay, let me try that one. And then I, get all the things I need for it and I try it out and it doesn't quite work. And so then, oh, let me try the next thing. And so I'm thinking that I have this growth mindset because it's like, I really want to have the house all organized. So I keep searching for the next new system that is going to work. That's not really a growth mindset. That's part of it. The change in behavior is part of it. The change in the thoughts is part of it. But there's, again, no analyzation of what the real issue is. It's more of a band-aid. It's like putting all these band-aids on thinking that I am moving forward on these issues, but not necessarily diagnosing the right illness, the right problem that is occurring. So this is not necessarily a bad thing. Trying new things is not a bad thing. I would never say that because I would never want to stop trying new things. But it has to be in conjunction with, because you are going to have benefits of trying new things, but you will have more benefit by trying the new thing in conjunction with not forgetting all the things that you've done before, and also really analyzing where you're at, being honest and open. So I started with that being the definition, and that is what's missing, being honest and open about where you're at. So for me, trying all these new ways to organize the house, I feel like I have such a growth mindset because I'm willing to try these things, but I'm not willing to necessarily figure out what the issue is. And so that is not a growth mindset. In fact, this whole thing is really what started my idea about this fake growth mindset. If I think that growth mindset just means change, then I have missed the intent of what growth mindset really means. And it's so interesting. So if I kind of now, okay, all right, I've kind of kicked my butt here a little bit, but if I do give myself a little bit of props here, I would say that I have a growth mindset when it comes to my students. I see where they're at. So here's the analyzation part. I can see where they're at. I analyze, this is where you are, but we can change that. We can put you in a different place, wherever that place will be. And so this growth mindset I have for them. Now I need to just do that same thing for myself. So again, the common theme of how I treat others is how I need to treat myself. I stop and I analyze others, and I encourage and I provide support where they need things in order to grow. Now I need to do that for myself. And those two pieces are really what is needed in order to get things really going in the right direction. So there are some thoughts on a pseudo growth mindset and the two things that are necessary to have a true growth mindset. And again, please list some of the things that you also think about that contribute to kind of a pseudo fake growth mindset. I would love to hear them, and I'm sure others would love to hear them as well. I will leave you with a goodbye. Come here. You're gonna say goodbye. Oh, okay. What are you doing? This is Sola. She's also in here with me when I record the videos. She is always there. So if you do hear grunts and stuff like that, it's not always me. So with that, we'll say goodbye.